There we go. Hi everyone, it's Agnes. Welcome to this bonus Q&A. I know many of you have not been able to join in and you've asked for a recording. I do not put the private Q&As up on the channel because it is for people to share private stuff, and no, it's not going to be uploaded. This one today is a bonus one. Now, as you can see, some people have got their videos on and some do not, but there are some people that have been interviewed many times or once. You can see Mercy's got her video on, Martina's got her video on, Ankita's got her video on. Devin's in here, he's been interviewed as well. So there's, yeah, a few, and there'll be a few more joining in a bit later because they've said they're going to join in 20 or 30 minutes late. So we're going to start the Q&A, and the first question today is from Mizari.
Hi, Yes.
Hi, Mizari.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm great. So I have been working on my self-love, like I said I was going to last time, and it's been going really, really great. Actually have been journaling everything down this time, so I can just go back and look and see what's worked and what hasn't.
Yes.
And I created my own kind of meditation that just works for me really well, where I just sink into the self-love feeling. But I know I've heard you many times say that to repeat out like I am love, like the people that have the best results say it like thousands of times a day. And for me, that like just doesn't work. My mind just doesn't work that way. So I was just wondering, is that more like repeating an affirmation over and over again more effective than just feeling the feeling intensely one time, like maybe for a couple of minutes?
I don't think there's one way, Mizari. I think if some people prefer affirmations, some people prefer, they're more feelers. They like doing the feeling. It really isn't one size fits all. So I think it's very much choosing and trying different things and then seeing which one you prefer. So yes, affirmations are great. I do think when you start affirmations, you don't feel them, and that's all right. It's committing them to memory, getting your mind used to it, and then you can drop down into the feeling place over time. You don't have to try and force yourself to feel. So I think, look, in my experience of 30 years of doing all sorts of different things, I think the four most effective things I have found have been self-love meditations, because if you're wanting any sort of outside change, feeling loved really helps in terms of anything. Love, money, work, whatever. Okay? And relationships, of course. So I think that's the most important thing, the self-love meditations. I think affirmations for the self, as well as affirmations for a particular desire, whatever it is, you know, and I won't list them all because I just mentioned them before. And also then the Ho'oponopono, I think, is extremely important when you are really not in a good space and you need some good distraction. Okay. So getting the mind away from things, I think, is very, very important. So Ho'oponopono is great because you can do it while you're doing the dishes, while you're vacuuming, while you're in the shower, while you're folding your clothes. It's a great way to get your mind pulled away from certain subjects. Okay. Now, the other thing is the scripting. For people that are not highly, not highly visual people, I find scripting is good for those people because you can write it. It's a living in the end exercise, and it is an extremely great way to live in the end. You just read it once or twice before you go to bed each night. It takes 5-10 minutes, and it's a great, great way to live in the end without having to do imaginal scenes. Now, for people that are great at imaginal scenes or love imagining, then obviously that's an excellent way as well. So that in a nutshell, there are so many techniques. I think I've tried pretty much everything from A to Z. Some of them are big, you know, bright, shiny objects, and I think are a waste of time. I won't name them because I don't want to, you know, go into that. But I do think those have been the most effective in my life personally, and also with the people that I work with. So it's working on those very basic layers, the foundation of the cake, so that it becomes, it's like when you lay the concrete to build a house. If you do a good job on the concrete, then the house will be strong and steady and secure. And it's the same for this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as in working on the self, I mean.
Yeah, and like I said, it's the one that I've created for myself that I feel works. It kind of encompasses all of that, but like in one feeling. I don't know how to explain it because it just kind of came to me the other day, and I was like, oh my God, I just did a meditation that did all of it in one go, and it was great.
Cool.
So that's why I was asking if the affirmations, because I do say them like when I'm working out. Yeah. And it's like a 30-minute workout, then I'm like, all right, fine, I might as well just say them while I'm doing reps or something.
Yes, for sure, for sure. And I think, Mitzari, when you're actually in motion, when you're exercising, when you're at the gym, those types of repetitive movement, when you feel free, when you've got the energy going, when you've got the blood moving, you're getting just energy going through your body, that in itself is a really good way to inject the projection. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you're practicing through the affirmation, but the law of projection then can go forward and shoot it out, you see.
Yeah, and it's like a plus because you even feel great afterwards because your body just feels better, and that makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Just purely on the physical level, you feel better. Yeah.
It makes the workouts go better, like go easier, you guys. So just try it out. Like,
absolutely.
Next thing you know, you're done.
Yeah. Mitzari, just so people that watch this, because I'm going to ask people where they are in the world, roughly, where are you today?
I'm in Florida.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Well,
lovely.
That was my question. So that's all I wanted to ask.
No problem. Good one. Good one to start with. Okay, let's go for Stephanie. You are next.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can, Stephanie.
Oh, great. Hey, everyone. I'm Stephanie. I'm calling from North Carolina in the United States. You're pretty familiar with me. Actually, I just have two questions. One for you and the other one's for you and Mercy. The first question is, how do we attract and how is us pushed out when it comes to someone that's emotionally unavailable?
Okay. If you've got someone in front of you that's emotionally unavailable, then you must have corresponding thoughts, feelings, and beliefs to have that on the outside. So ask yourself, have I got the belief? And Stephanie, I know you and I know you date men.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But we're going to use men in this example. You got to look at your beliefs about men. Okay. What do I believe about men that this is in front of me? So you bring the question back to you. What have I got that supports that being on the outside? So when I hear women say this about men, I mean, I used to have that belief because the men in my family were like that. Now, as I worked out, I had that belief, and therefore I was then seeing the experience of that and having men show up that reflected that back to me. It became a self-fulfilling prophecy. So now, having looked at that belief in me, working with Ho'oponopono, dissolving the part of me that created those men coming to me in that way, as I had the change in belief, some men are emotionally unavailable. The men that are around me are emotionally unavailable. Men are just like me, because men are no different to women. It's just there's some women that are shut down and emotionally unavailable, and there are some men that are shut down and emotionally unavailable. It's not a gender specific thing. So you go, okay, I'm going to change that in me. I love how I have men around me that are wonderful, emotionally available. open, caring, loving, kind, understanding. I love how we understand each other. I love how we communicate well. I love how the men reflect back to me that connecting emotionally is a wonderful thing. As I had those beliefs and transited out of all those old beliefs that I got from my family, the men that started showing up became a reflection of that, just like my partner today, who is incredibly kind. He helps me with my business. He is an amazing person behind the scenes. He listens to me when I crash and burn and have, you know, a day where I'm having overload and I start getting frustrated, angry, or I'm having, you know, whatever other negative emotion. He's emotionally available. Now, he was like that before I met him, and he's now like that with me. But the thing is, I could only attract him if I had that belief in me in the first place. Okay? So I'm going to hand it over to Mercy to finish answering that question too. Is that the one you wanted her to answer?
No.
No. Okay.
I mean, she can if she wants to.
I'm getting ahead of myself.
The question that I had with Mercy, hello, by the way. I saw your interview. It was very good.
Thank you.
When you was talking about your SP, you said that, and if correct me if I'm wrong, it sounded like you changed your mind about him because he wasn't exactly what you wanted based off his appearance. So what?
Stephanie, just give me 1 sec. Can everybody mute themselves, please? Because someone's got a TV or they're talking in the background and it's really distracting. Please mute yourselves if you are not talking directly. Thank you. Go ahead, Stephanie. Sorry, I just really want to hear what you're saying.
Oh no, that's fine. I understand. So yes, I was asking Mercy when it came to her changing her specific person. She was saying that he really wasn't everything that she wanted physically. What made you come to that point? Because I have heard people say, you know, when you meet somebody and they could be everything you wanted them to be, like, except for one or two things, what would those one or two things would be? So what made you come to that point, like, other than you trying to manifest his character traits, him physically, what made you just decide just not to manifest him back?
Well, okay, once I got back together with him, I started noticing some of the things that I would not, you know, be okay with, because first of all, when we get together with somebody, we usually have the ego that helps us because the human species has to survive and has to continue. So, you know, it will do anything in its power to get us together with somebody. So I had that on, and I had the society telling me that I had to be with somebody and all that sort of thing that were just, you know, popping in my head. And I started to notice, you know, if he was the type of person that I wanted him to be, like if he was the type of person that would make me happy, or if I was just pushing it. Because, you know, before we broke up and during the time of the breakup, I needed self-love. I needed somebody to tell me that I'm beautiful. I needed somebody to tell me that my future is going to be okay. And once I graduate university and once I start working, I would definitely have somebody there to be with me. But then, you know, I started loving myself and I started seeing so many things. And I started seeing so many things that I did not have in common with him. Mind you, I know that, you know, everyone is pushed out, and you know, we can influence people to a certain point and all that sort of stuff. But if you have something that's already there that is in the same level as you don't have to actually work for these things to happen, you know. So I started to notice that we didn't have anything in common, and I was just staying with him because, like, it was not even fair to him. So once I started to fill in the gap, when it came to me, I didn't need him any longer. So you could tell yourself, I could tell that it was not okay anymore.
Okay. The only part that I kind of get a little stuck at when it comes to everyone is pushed out, and like you said, having that thing in common with the person. Because when you start dating someone, you start finding out things that you may not like, but at the same time, then you pushed out. So what is the balanced perspective on that? And Agnes, you can answer that too.
Okay, do you want me to take this, Agnes?
Mercy, you go first. Yeah, continue on.
Okay, so like everybody, when they talk about everyone is you pushed out, Agnes, stop me if you if you want, is that like you think something and the person in front of you does not have any willpower, you can change them into whatever you want them to be. It doesn't actually work like that. It's not a magic, it's not a 2-minute, you know, technique or that sort of thing. It's actually when everyone is you pushed out is you can influence their experience into, like, you can influence to a certain point to be in the same state as the person that you want them to be in. So for example, I start going out with a guy and I like him so much, but he may not be into the type of person that I am. Like, for example, maybe he doesn't like brown girls at the beginning. So, you know, the universe will organize scenarios in his life, obviously, where, I don't know, maybe his aunts will adopt a kid who's brown and he would fall in love with that type of situation. Or, you know, he would watch a video that would influence him into coming into the state of the type of person that I want him to be. It doesn't mean that I can change him and make him, you know, into the person that I have in my head. So what I'm trying to say is, well, you can actually influence people into being the type of person that you want them to be, but you cannot go into their willpower and you know, make them go crazy for you. So what I think is, once you start, like Anya said before, once you start to fall in love with you, once you start to get to know yourself, then the type of persons that you attract, him or even the characters and the state that he's going to be in, is going to be the state that you are in. So your states will match. And if you're in a better state, then you would know that when he is there, if he's not in the same state as you are, you will not even be attracted. You will no longer be attracted to him because you're not in the same state. You're not compatible. It's like when you were in a negative state and he was in a positive state, you were not compatible for him. So now if you're in a positive state and he's in the negative state, then you're not compatible. He's not going to be compatible for you. So every time that you want something, always your communication has to be with you and with the universe. And then the rest will just, you know, balance out itself and then come to you. I know I made it sound a little bit complicated. It's kind of easy, but yeah, just work on yourself and then you will know.
Thank you.
Nicely said, Mercy.
Yes, thank you very much.
Yeah. Good question, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Good question. Lovely. Have you asked all your questions, my lovely?
Yes, I have, unless you wanted to add something to it, but that was it.
No, I think Mercy covered it really well. I really don't have anything to add to that one.
All right, thank you.
Cool. Now,
Mute myself.
Nope. Cool. Before we go to the next question, for those of you that know Martina, who is on this call, who you have heard share her wonderful success story about manifesting a wonderful relationship, she has 9 days ago added another, probably one of the most important manifestations of her life, a beautiful little girl. Martina, will you show us your little girl? She's just gone off. Such a beautiful, wonderful thing to be experiencing for the two of you at the moment. I just really want to bring you on so we can share in the joy, because I know a lot of people do want to have a child, and you have manifested a gorgeous little girl. Yeah. So can you introduce her to the viewers that will see this on the channel?
Her name is Mackenzie Amina Andrews. She was born August 7th. She wasn't supposed to come until August 12th. That's when my C-section was scheduled, but she kept, you know, I had surgery 10 years ago and she kept touching the scar, so they had to just rush me in on Friday. So
yeah.
She's here. She's everything. Like,
Oh, what a beautiful, beautiful little girl. She looks like she's about to doze right off. That's why I thought I'd grab you now before she gets too comfortable.
yeah, like we're trying to keep her awake and stuff. Like I have to pump, like I'm breastfeeding and stuff. So I have to go off camera and do that.
Oh, lovely, lovely. Thank you, Martina. I think it's very special to just see the progression of people growing, attracting, creating. This is a wonderful creation. This is beautiful. So congratulations to you and Tahir for this wonderful, and really it's like, you know, we've got still COVID going on and this beautiful flower grows in the desert. It's fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. So congratulations from all of us.
Thank you.
Okay. Galaxy A30, you are next.
Hello.
Hi, darling. Just speak up a little bit because you're very quiet.
Hello. Hi, Agnes. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You look very pretty, and congratulations to Martina.
Yes, yes.
You got a beautiful child. I have this question that it was me who broke up with my boyfriend, and then I couldn't sum up the courage to go back to him, like to confess what I feel for him. Now I'm doing self-love and all, and since we are in the same workplace, so I often see him. He started smiling, and if I call him, hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello.
Keep
Hello?
going, darling. I can hear you. Keep going. Yep.
But since my person is in, since my specific person is on my same workplace, we shared same workplace.
Yep.
So initially, after I broke up with him, because I was very irritated by him, I broke up. Then I realized that I want him back. I couldn't go back to him, but I decided to manifest him. Initially, he never used to even look at me. He'll just ignore me. Now he started giving me gestures, or if I call him for some work, he'll immediately call me back. But the thing is, I sometimes for living in the end is a problem. Like imagining that scene is how should I go about it? Like sometimes if I'm feeling that I like it might not be possible, a negative feeling just comes up. How to get over that thing?
I wouldn't be imagining any scenes right now. Work on your self-love and get yourself into a calm, emotional state. While you are disturbed and you're trying to do emotional scenes, imaginal scenes, not emotional scenes, they become emotional scenes. It doesn't, that wasn't meant to come out that way, but I think it was quite accurate. You must lay a good foundation, Galaxy. You have to get to the place where you are emotionally secure, relaxed, at peace. Then you can do imaginal scenes on top of that. But I see a lot of people trying to do imaginal scenes and do Neville, but the state they're in underneath is disturbed. You cannot ice a rotten cake.
Can you?
Okay. Yes, darling, I can hear you. There was a bit of a distraction from somebody else, but yeah, I can hear you.
Hello. Can you just explain it once again? I couldn't understood it.
Darling, I won't say it again because it'll be on the recording. So when the recording goes up, you can go back and listen to it, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anna Louisa.
Hi, Agnes. Good
Hi,
to
my
see
lovely.
you.
Good to see you too.
So I have two questions today.
Yes.
The first one is about general manifesting, and the second one it's about more specifics. So the first one is because I have been like learning a lot, but not really applying. And recently I read The Law and the Promise, and I said like, oh, okay, I really need to test it. Also, I saw a video of Marvin where he said that during a long time he was like learning and learning, but never applying, so he had to. And I was like, yeah, I'm in the same situation. And the thing is that at that moment, when I really started like doing my imaginal scenes and stuff, I got like a little bit scared. I don't know if it's scared or if it's that I'm anxious because I don't see the results, or even a little bit of it, you know, like a little testing of it. I don't know how to say it. Or if it's just that I have a lack of trust or faith on it. I feel good where I am right now.
Yeah.
And I know that I would like some other things.
Yeah.
But I'm good in my little comfort zone. And so I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know if it's fear or if it's anxiety of the fact that, okay, I would like that, but I know I'm good where I am and I'm not sure what I'm gonna get.
Mm.
So I'm a little bit confused about it and I don't know how to handle it. So then I said, you know what, leave it, I'm gonna stop. And I would like to try.
Yeah. Look, I think when you're kind of okay where you are, that's you're squeezing it less, like the desire. So I think that's a good place to be. When you don't feel so intense about a desire, it doesn't mean you don't want it. It just means your obsession is probably gone.
Mm.
So it's like you pull back and it feels like, oh, hang on, do I still really want this? Because you're not used to a desire being in that normal level in the middle bit without that intense addictive obsession. So, and I used to go through this too. I used to think, oh, do I still want this? It's like, yeah, I still want it, but I'm just not disturbed and mentally locked into that thing, you see. So I think when you do let go a bit, and I think this is a part of life that we all seem to struggle with. I see it in men and women, that learning to trust ourselves and learning to trust life are two of the hardest things for a human being.
Yeah.
Now, the self-love, affirmations, surrender, letting go, and allowing meditations. I think Abraham Hicks does a wonderful body of work on the art of allowing. So yes, manifesting certain things, visualizing all this stuff, yes, but you got to get to a place where you're just satisfied with your morning till nighttime life, and you relax into it, and you trust life, and you trust things will come, and you're more, it's like you love what you have rather than always looking for the next thing. You become much more grounded and satisfied in the here and now, you see.
Yeah, the thing is that sometimes I think there are things that I would like to manifest. And then I said, like, should I even try? But I think it's more because I'm scared of not getting it.
Yeah.
You see?
And that's all right.
Like, that's so hard. I know I have manifested things.
Yeah.
But now I'm in another level of, okay, but I manifested like little things or some things that I consider big at the time. And now I'm like, okay, now I would like this and this and this. And then I said, if I don't get it, I'll feel it. I think I'll feel like disappointed about myself or disappointed about all of this. I don't know. It's just, I need to trust more.
Yeah. And that's, you know, that going, I've talked a bit about this recently, that to really enjoy life, it's letting go of dissatisfaction, you know?
Yes.
Anna, I'm going to just call on Marvin to jump in here. Marvin, are you there?
Yes.
Darling, will you add your lovely male perspective to Anna's question?
Well, I think what you said earlier, a little bit earlier, Agnes, is very true. I think that people really don't, like, people think that they don't trust a specific person or they don't trust this and that. But what it always boils down to, I think, is you don't necessarily trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't trust your creative ability. You don't trust the universe. And a lot of times, I think Agnes said it perfectly. We want to be control freaks. We think that worrying is going to get us to the promised land, or we think that fear is going to get us to the promised land. And it's the exact opposite. And I think, like Agnes said, once you release and let go and understand that you know, I can trust again, even if I do get hurt by a specific person, or I can trust again, even if, you know, whatever I want to manifest doesn't manifest, you know, if I don't get that car, if I don't get that house, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I just think it's a lot of work on yourself, you know, and knowing that the universe, you know, we get our knowledge from the universe, you know, ideas, thoughts, everything bounces around. So if an idea comes to your mind and you don't act on it, then it's going to go to the next person. If that person doesn't act on it, then that idea is going to bounce to the next person until someone finally acts on that idea, you know. So I think that keeping that in mind and knowing that the universe already has everything created, everything has already been created, everything is energy, and it's just a matter of you getting into alignment with that energy and manifesting whatever it is you want, because all you have to do is, like Abraham Hicks always talks about, is you have to get into alignment. You have to raise your vibration, get into alignment, feel those feelings, and whatever you want, you know, will manifest. But obviously it takes time. Everyone's at different levels of manifestation. Like can do, it will use you to make his creations come true. So, you know, don't be afraid, or don't think that you don't have that same power, because, you know, we all have that same power, and we all, you know, can make it happen. It's just a matter of honing in on it and just practicing and applying. So, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Ah, I was trying to say thank you, Marvin. I realized I'd muted myself. There was some screaming kids outside my apartment building, so I'm going to mute myself too when I'm not talking. Thank you, Marvin. That's brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. Scottish Joe is in the house as well. And there was someone else I wanted to mention. Sarah. These people I have interviewed at different times. So if anybody wants to ask any of them some questions in the chat while we're discussing something face to face, then just feel free to ask them directly. Before Anna.
Yeah, I have a second question.
Yes, I just realized before I jump to the next person, you've got one more question. Go ahead. I have a very short attention span, Anna, so you'll have to excuse me.
The second one is more about the specifics and that specific person.
Yeah.
Because I know sometimes normally you have to leave in the end, and for example, let's say having this relationship with the person or getting married with the person.
Yep.
The thing is that sometimes I said I would like to know the person a little bit better before living in that end.
Yeah.
I have this impression, like many times people say, like, for example, if I'm manifesting like more communication or dates or seeing the person, that I'm missing with the middle.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's okay, like being manifesting like little baby steps before deciding, okay, I'm manifesting a marriage with someone that I'm not sure, maybe not the final good one. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I do. And I hear a lot of this, don't mess with the middle stuff. I don't really agree with it. Why? I'm going to give you an example. If someone is single and they don't have any specific person or date or relationship in sight, but they do know they have a bigger goal of wanting to get married, I think trying to imagine getting married is such a big stretch for the belief system. It doesn't work for a lot of people.
It's too much.
It's too much. Yeah. So I don't think that if you pull it back and go, let me go for a date. I'd like to manifest a date with a really nice person. I'm going to imagine being in a restaurant, that I'm having a conversation with somebody. I can't see their face, but I can see them holding the menu. I'm just going to see a pair of hands holding a menu. So you go, okay, I'm going to imagine that. And I'm going to imagine that we have something nice to eat. I can smell the food. I'm going to activate the senses. I'm going to imagine seeing the menu and the person's hands. I'm going to imagine laughing and having a good conversation. I'm going to have the feeling of it being really natural and easy and fun. We eat a good meal. We have a nice glass of red wine. And then we go, fantastic night. Love to see you again. See you later. You both go home separately. That in itself is a manifestation in its own right. So your belief system can go from being single and having no one around to having a date. That's not a huge jump. But if you go from being single to getting married and living with someone for the rest of your life and laying in bed with someone that you don't even know what they look like, personally, that never worked for me. So I do think breaking it down into believable sections is a little manifestation in its own right. Yeah.
Okay.
Now, Anna, I'm going to call on Scottish Joe to add a little bit to that too, because he's been doing a lot of really good bits and pieces about imagination. So, Joe, can you unmute yourself and add a little bit there?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thanks for having us. It is a tough one, going from, as you say, A to B, when B, from your current perspective, seems so far away. So I agree with Agnes. I don't particularly agree with that being messing in the middle. I don't, because it is so difficult to see yourself. It's such a massive distance away when there is so much, perhaps from a logical standpoint, so much that does happen in the middle. Like you meet someone, then you get that connection with someone, then you go on so many dates with that person, then perhaps, you move in together. All these different things happen in their own stages. So to know that that's probably a bridge of incident going to the end of being married, it's difficult to know what that feels like if you don't have the original feeling of connection with someone in the first place. So yeah, I think Agnes is absolutely bang on point with that. I think there's nothing wrong with, manifesting the date. Knowing exactly what you want as a bigger goal is absolutely fine. But if you want to manifest a date with a lovely guy, as Agnes said, by all means, there's nothing wrong with manifesting that. Knowing that your bigger picture goal in the end is the marriage. What I would say is perhaps if you wanted to make it a little bit easier, instead of being too, specific with marriage, perhaps manifesting the connection with someone.
Yes.
That's much more, I wouldn't say generic, but it's much more open to be anything, because ultimately you want to get married because you want a connection with someone. Really, that seems to be much more aligned with just marriage, because you could ultimately manifest a marriage and it may not work out, but you want to manifest the connection more, I feel. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you both. Really good.
Oh, good questions, Anna. Good questions. Yeah, it's just really good to get different people's perspectives when they have, practiced and got results, because we all do it slightly differently. And male, female, older, younger, black or white, gay or straight, all those differences come into the mix of how you do things. And, one person is not going to cover it all. So I appreciate those of you that come in here and give you a bit. And we're going to call Julia up next. Julia, just say where you are, Julia. In which country? Julia, you just got to unmute yourself. If you're talking, I can't hear you. Oh, I can see you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Julia, I will come back to you. I'm not sure what's happening with your audio. It's not working. Just put your hand up again and I'll ask you again in a little bit. Kate, just say where you're from and unmute yourself first. Kate, I'll just go through. I'm trying to find you, but there's nearly 70 people in here today, so it's a bit slow for me to find people. Kate? Okay, hang on.
Hi, can you hear
There
me?
we go. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, the mute thing was just stuck on yours. Yeah, go ahead, Kate.
Okay, perfect. So I actually manifested my SP twice, but I seem to be in a pattern of ghosting. So he broke up with me. I manifested him like a month back. Then it was good. We had a bit of bad moments, and he ghosted me. Then a couple of months later, I manifested him in a completely better version, and he was completely changed. And now, like a month ago, like completely out of blue, I got ghosted again, and I'm sort of like, why? Like everything is going well. Like it just seemed to me like it came out of blue, and I know I can manifest him back, but I just don't know how to avoid of that pattern that seemed to go on, that it keeps repeating.
Okay, do you understand the concept everyone's you pushed out?
Well, I think I understand that like my beliefs about him is he's projecting me out, but then it's like I don't feel like I was thinking that he leaves me.
No, it's not necessarily just about him. What were you thinking about you? Let's start with that first. What were you thinking about you before that happened? And,
well,
and I'm talking about anything negative, Kate, obviously not the positive stuff.
Well, I don't know. I was a little bit stressed, and sometimes I was a bit annoyed with certain small things, but in general, I don't know. I don't, if I had to pinpoint, I couldn't.
Okay, well, you're going to have to try if you're going to work this out, because you cannot change a pattern until you work out what you're doing prior and leading up to something going wrong, because it's all,
maybe I was thinking, that like when I go back home, then he may start ghosting me again, but it's just like,
okay, stop there. There it is.
But how do I change it now? Like,
you literally stop doing that. You cannot have those thoughts, Kate, and they go out and they don't create something. You have to stop that type of thinking. Now, is it easy? No. Is it possible? Yes. But you've got to practice directing your mind onto things that are not like that. Like, I am a priority. Oh, isn't it wonderful how this relationship gets better and better? I am love.
Okay.
Because when you're still looking at being ghosted, you still are treating yourself with disrespect in that moment, because you're projecting a unwanted thing onto another human being who's going to pick it up and run it with it like it's a ball, if you do it enough. So you have to not be looking at him and what he's doing, apart from, if that's in front of me, what am I doing? That's how you can deal with it and have some power to change that on the outside. You must deal with you first. People don't do stuff unless you've got something that matches it on the inside.
Okay, so like assuming that right now I'm just gonna focus in, do a lot of self-love, etc., and then I'm pretty sure that he's gonna pop back in my experience. How sort of do I get back from my head that little doubt that like he behaved like a dick, for lack of better words? Like, how do I go? I obviously love him and I want to be with that person, but how do I get myself there of like, it was really me who put it there and it was nothing to do with him, and when he comes back, how do I just switch that little ugly thing into like normal relationship?
Well, firstly, you got to stop seeing him as the source of love, because if you're looking at trying to create a normal relationship, you're trying to do it with him, but you've got to do it with you. It's not him. It's never him. It's you, it's you, it's you. And once you take the responsibility for that, you fix and correct yourself. I mean, I don't know if you heard Mercy's story. There was a particular part of Mercy's story where someone did something to her that she did not warrant. But what she did was she went in and said, okay, I'm being accused of something that I know I didn't do. But what is it in me that attracted that? Now, if you go back and listen to that part of Mercy's story and apply it to what you're asking me, Mercy no longer made it about the other woman doing anything to her. She said, I've got something in me. She worked out what it was. She then dismantled it and dissolved it. And then the situation on the outside completely transformed. You must work from the inside out and stop looking at he's being a dick. Because if you keep looking at he's being a dick, you will never get anywhere, because you'll go around and around and around, and you will never solve the problem because it's in you, and you are looking and blaming him for what you've got going on inside you. And this is 100% responsibility, this work, as tough as that is.
So if I now go in and really focus myself on self-love, like I'm first best and Ho'oponopono, then he comes back into my experience. And if I fuck with that, my relationship should be good.
See, Kate, you're still focusing on the relationship being good. It's the love isn't over there. You got your ladder up the wrong wall if you're focusing on, if I just get this and do this and get this out of the way, will that fix itself? You must put the self-love first for you. The relationship is not the oasis in the desert. The oasis is I am love, not I got to stop him ghosting me so I can feel first best, so I can feel like I'm a priority, so I can feel that I am loved by him, and then I'll be all right. No, you must work on feeling loved within you. Let him off the hook. He's never been your source of love. He didn't cause this unloved in you. You must know that he can't cure it. Even if he shows up and he's there stuck to you 24/7 like a suction cap, it will not fix it. Okay. Try and look at, I've got to correct this in me because I want to be free of having to want a relationship. And then, like Marvin shared, I can't even remember, Marvin, where you talked about it, but if I remember you said, if I wake up and I'm single for the rest of my life, I would be okay with that. And when I heard that, I thought, I so know that feeling because I feel like that. Even though I've got a specific person, I've got a great relationship, being alone is so not a disease. It is being in a relationship, so is not the oasis in the desert. Being free of needing it from another human being is where the freedom is.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does make a lot of sense.
Because we fixate on, I got to get a specific person. I got to get a specific person. We don't look at us and go, why the heck am I so obsessed with this? What's wrong with me that I so have to get this for me to be all right? And a lot of people on YouTube don't help with this because they're doing the get this person, make them commit, make them love me, get this, get that, get this, get that. You know what? All that external getting, you will suffer if you keep doing that because there's always going to be some other thing that you're trying to get. And it's an unquenchable thirst because that's not where the answers are. And it never was. So if you can work from the inside out, use the outside of what he's doing as an indicator of what you need to fix, correct, change within you. If you can do that, you will be an asset to a relationship really for the first time. Because you will no longer need anything from someone. And if someone ghosts you or not, you couldn't give two horses' asses, as Martina says, because you're free. You're free from your own self and your own bondage and your own thinking and your own stuff.
Okay, so every time we want to be in a relationship, it means that we are not free and that we have something missing.
Every time you want to be in a relationship and you're fixated on wanting to be in a relationship, you will not be free. If you can free yourself and not need a relationship and then be in one, wow. what an asset you are to your partner, because they have got someone who is fully self-sufficient and self-love and has no needs on you. And that is unconditional love. And that is a adult relationship between two adults, not a child looking to a parent. We've got to grow up. And that's the hard part of this, because a lot of us are still stuck in child, adult. You need to love me so I can feel good. You're not doing what I want you to do. Why aren't you doing what I want you to do? Why aren't you doing what I want you to do? You're annoying me. Why don't you do this? You know, I'm not a priority. I'm not a priority. You don't spend enough time with me. What are you doing? And then getting angry, blaming, punishing. That's the child. Stop it.
Okay. I guess it makes
I'm
sense.
not just saying, Kate, I'm not just saying this to you. I'm talking this out loud for everybody. But yeah, that's where we get stuck. And we stand there with our entitled hands on our hips. And sorry, but the women are the worst. I will say it, being a woman, the women are the most entitled. And we have to stop that if we want to have a good relationship with men. It's not the men that can't commit. It's not the men that they want to be free. And it's we suffocate them and they want to get away from us. Yeah. Stop doing it. Men will be there right next to you on the couch, laying in bed, at the movies, at your parents' dinner table, when they don't feel suffocated. They will.
Okay.
Yeah?
Thanks a lot.
Good questions. Oh my goodness, love it. It's so interesting breaking down the mechanics of this. It really is. Julia, I'm going to ask you again. Let's see how we go.
Sorry about that. I was sitting here stabbing my unmute button furiously and nothing was happening.
No, but I was trying to unmute you too, and it was like, come on.
Sorry about that. I'm back. I've got kind of
Where
a
are
general
you?
question.
Where are
I'm in
you?
London. Sorry, everyone.
Yeah,
I'm
I already
in London.
I know that, but I just sort of let people know.
Yes, I'm in London. And this is kind of a general question for you and your lovely assistants, or whoever wants to answer, out of you guys. I'll give a bit of context for everybody else. So you and I spoke on Tuesday, and I was saying to you, some things are going, some things are not going, and I'm frustrated and I feel like I've hit a wall. And I decided to just, I did a big letting go, and in less than 48 hours, something happened. So, but I don't want to get to a point every time that I feel frustrated. And it's definitely around things where I'm more emotionally attached, because some things come really easily to me. I'm really detached about it, and so I let go. So I guess my question is around what advice you guys have, or, I guess tips, ideas around how can we more easily detach and let go from things, especially when we're very attached.
Sorry, I was muted. Julia, I'm gonna call forth Ankita, because I just got the sense to call her forward. Ankita, do you want to answer that?
Hello.
And then I'll speak after. Go ahead.
Sure. So you want to be free, I suppose, and you want to feel good about yourself. So I think make a list of what makes you happy, and make a list of how can you feel more good and confident in yourself. Maybe focus on something else. Because can you repeat your question once more, because I want to.
So basically, I was saying I noticed that things that I'm not so emotionally attached to, right? It's easy to let go, and then things just happen very easily. And so and the things that I mean, this isn't just me. I'm sure this is a lot of people, and I guess it takes practice. The things that I am more emotionally attached to, they're harder to let go of. But letting go is so important. So
I think
what
for
can we
you,
do
this
to get
thought,
there easier?
This belief, this thought has become a belief system. If I let go, then I get it. So I would say take a seat. I mean, just relax and just think about. You have to come up with something that makes. How do I say it? It's like you're getting into how of the process. If you're really fixated on letting it go, because it doesn't work like that. I don't know which topic you're talking about, but it's just that you first calm yourself and then you visualize, you let it go. Like, you just know that it's coming. So if you,
Yeah,
if
so
you
that's
don't get
the
to
hard part. So when we get stuck in not being able to let go, what can we do to let go?
You
To
have to
help
focus
ourselves
somewhere
get
else
into letting
and
go.
do more self-love. I think that is the place where you have to build your own self-confidence and your faith in yourself and do more
Okay.
self-love, that I got this. It's absolutely not going anywhere. It's for me because I seeded it properly. I have prepared myself. It's all about the preparation, and then you put the seed and you nurture it every day with water, and it's just like nature. It comes in its own appointed hour. So it cannot happen that it will not come. But if you are so fixated on, I need to do this and that while I'm waiting for it, then in my experience, it doesn't come like that. If in whatever thing you're trying to manifest. So I would say just relax. It will come. If it has come before and you know it, then you just have to tell yourself, it's all about disciplining your mind that you got this, that it will come, of course, eventually. And then you have to build your life actually in such a manner that you don't actually care whether it's coming or not, because you've got so much going on that it will eventually be just a natural thing, like getting a coffee. It's not a big deal. I mean, you have to make it feel like it's not on a pedestal. Because if you're making it feel like it's on pedestal, then you actually put yourself down, or your own worthiness down, so to speak. Did that make sense? Like, so in my experience, if you think that you get very attached to doing certain thing, just go by a list of what makes you feel good and just focus on something else that makes you feel good and forget about the topic for few hours and minutes and days, and then you get there because you're like, you got this. Like, you have to come back to that attitude.
Lovely. Thank you, Ankita. I would add, Julia, it's that thing we were talking about before, trusting the self. I think that sounds like an easy thing, but it is quite hard, because you go, how do I do that? Like, it's not this, you do that, and then I trust myself. I think trust builds over time as you work on self-love, as you work on surrender, letting go, and allowing, and you do it with breathing. I find letting go, surrender, and allowing, and trust comes with really doing the breaths, and really, and the woman that talked about it, which I thought she explained that breathing to let go and surrender and get into a good place, was Grandma's Kitchen. It was in her story. She talked about, she had quite high anxiety and how she used that for 10 minutes a day, and it really changed. It really dropped the anxiety, and it helped her get into a peaceful state and a more trusting state. So if you want to add that in and just say, hey, I'm going to do 10 minutes of breathing once a day, maybe twice a day, where I'm actually closing my eyes and I'm really getting into that state, I think that's a great way to do something physical. You got to do the mental stuff, which then influences the emotional stuff. But I think sometimes doing something physical, because we shallow breathe when we get a bit anxious or fearful or doubt, we get a bit, it's like you go into that. You may not look like that on the outside, but that's what's going on the inside. So I think that's incredibly helpful, and I've used it myself, and it's worked incredibly well.
Okay.
Yeah. Cool.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Good question. Glad you brought that up, because it's not really talked about that much. Okay. TT.
Hi, Agnes.
Hello.
I had a question I wanted to ask. In one of your videos, I had watched.
Ellen, can I just ask where you are?
I'm in India.
In India. Okay, cool.
Yes. So the question is that in one of your videos that I watched, you had mentioned that if you're not able to manifest, according to Neville Goddard, it says that you haven't got the acceptance of the goal or desire. Could you just explain that a little more? What does that mean?
Acceptance of the goal or desire is pretty much what we were talking about with Julia just then. It's a trust. It's what Ankita was referring to, where you go, I've got this, and you get into the state, and it's a confidence. Now, if you've never manifested anything before, you think, how the heck do I get that? Very, very difficult. But as you practice over time, and I'm going to use Mercy as an example for this, she went from being heartbroken to really working on understanding the concepts of all this stuff, letting go, building up her confidence, and then she attracted an amazing new relationship, which she shared in the interview with me. But you get the confidence over time. It's not you go from being heartbroken, devastated, or anxious, fearful to being able to have that. It really is something that you practice, and over the years it just steadily grows and it becomes more a part of you. But it does take time to achieve that state. So the acceptance of the goal, I think, you know, Neville talks about states, and he talks about getting into a state. So okay, give me an example of what you're trying to accept or get into the state of, having acceptance of, and then let me see if we can break it down a little more.
Okay, so I'll give you an example. If a person has not been able to manifest a successful relationship for a long time, a stable relationship. I want to know, since you already mentioned that right now, that how does one build that self-confidence that they will get something like this? And how does one accept that goal?
Do one question at a time, because I lose my train of thought if you'd give me too many things at once. Okay, so how does someone get into that confidence of having a wonderful relationship?
Yes.
First, you have to feel that which you think you're going to get from having it. So it's lovely to have a relationship. It's wonderful to connect with someone. Obviously, physical intimacy is something that you pretty much need someone for, as well as affection. So you go, okay, yeah, I'd really like those things. That'd be nice. But you have to, at the base, to attract a relationship, you have to get into the state of feeling loved and accept that you are. That it's not the other person's job to give you that. It's you take your love into a relationship. You don't try and get love from a relationship. And Martina's interviews really shared that, where she talked about her journey of how she went from being single, what she did, and then the relationship, and understanding that there's another human being involved and that you are giving to that person. You're not trying to take love from them, because eventually if you do that, the love runs out and people ghost you, people take off, no explanation, they block you. All of those things happen when you keep trying to get suck love from a relationship. People no longer want to be the source of your supply. So you go, okay, now that I know the mechanics of that, now I'm going to, how do I accept the end result? As Neville says, you've got to accept the desire as being, but to accept that you have a loving relationship, you can't just do it in your head. You got to feel it in the marrow of your bones that you are loved. And more so, take the D off the end, that you are love, not loved, because that implies you're getting it from somebody else. But that I am love. That is my divine right, being on the planet.
Okay. And I just had to ask you one more thing, that when a person feels anxious, and since a lot of people say that, you know, your intuition is saying something to you and this and that, how do you distinguish between when you're anxious, whether it's a fear or it's your intuition trying to tell you something?
You got to look at what your repetitive habitual thinking has been before the anxiety kicked in.
Okay.
Because in my experience, people get anxious because they're running some repetitive habitual negative story.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds perfect. Thank you, Agnes.
Yeah, no problem. Martina, are you free to add a bit to that? Yeah? Just unmute yourself. Hang on. No, it's not working. What's going on with the mute thing today? It's not letting you, is it? Okay, no problem. I'm trying to unmute you at this end. It's not letting me either. Okay, never mind, Martina. We'll try again later. Zoom's trying to control us today. I'm not happy with them. I have to change that thought. That's something else to work on. Okay. Marvin, can you unmute yourself? Let's see if you can hop in and say something about that. Yeah, there we go. You should be audible, Marvin.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I honestly, I was in the chat and I forgot what she said. I forgot what she had said. Like I heard it, but I don't remember what she had said.
Of Neville talking about having acceptance of the goal.
I think that people I think their end goals are too big. I just think that's so simple. I think, you know, a lot of people, they just it's like trying to manifest winning the lottery. You know what I'm saying? Like people want to manifest winning, you know, $200 million, but their belief is, they got a $1 belief. You know what I mean? So it's like, you can't manifest $200 million when you got a $1 belief. You know what I'm saying? So I think with all of these SP problems, all of these specific person problems, I think it's the same thing. It's just your belief levels. Like I get you want what you want, but your belief level is on an elementary level and you're trying to manifest a doctorate degree, and it's not going to happen that way because your beliefs don't match. And that's why I always say go general. Like Abraham Hicks always says, when you want to take the pressure and anxiety off of manifesting anything in your life, always go general. And by general, I mean start small. Try to manifest the small stuff. Try to manifest, just like me in my situation with my SP. I didn't go all the way to marriage. I went to a text message. You know, I went to a text message, and then I went from a text message to meeting in person. You know, and then I went from meeting in person to maybe holding hands. You know, and then, you know, spending the night and stuff like that. Like these are steps. Like Agnes always talks about, or myself. This anxiety gets created because you're trying to skip steps. You're trying to skip self-love, or you're trying to skip Ho'oponopono, or you're trying to skip, you know, the in-between. And like Anya said earlier, people always mess around. Some people say, don't touch the stuff in the middle. And I agree with Agnes 100%, is you have to touch the stuff in the middle, because your end scene isn't allowing you to get to your end scene because you're only focused on that. And when you have so much fear and anxiety and all of that type of stuff, you can't really focus on your end scene, and you're going to get more fear and anxiety. And so I think what Anya said about, you know, looking at yourself and your thought pattern and that sort of thing, I think that made a lot of sense. So.
Yeah. Thank you, Marvin.
Very welcome.
Okay, lovely. I love the $1. That was well said. Beautiful. Thanks, Marvin. Okay, so before we go on to the next person, Scottish Joe, Marvin, you both now have YouTube channels that do very similar content. Because we're going to get to the end of the Q&A at some point, do you want to please add the links to your YouTube channels for people that want some very good content so they can have a look? If you don't mind, put that up in the chat.
Yeah, we'll do that just now. Can I just add as well, I'm going to add the Meetup group as well that I've also started. I don't know if anyone here uses the Meetup website. So I've created a group on there. It was predominantly for people where I'm in the world, which is Glasgow and United Kingdom. However, I'm doing more online-based events, and they're topical with regards to Neville Goddard. So I'll add the link for that in the chat as well. And if anyone wants to join, there's one on Thursday, 7 p.m. my local time. Don't know where that is for everyone else in the world, but I'll send the link into the chat, and everyone's welcome. It's just a Zoom event like this where we discuss certain topics.
Thank you, Joe. Yes, please do. So 7 p.m. Glasgow, Scotland time for the Meetup Group, where Joe runs through some Neville stuff and other bits and pieces. So let's go to L, just the letter L.
Hi, Agnes.
Hello, who's that?
Hi, this is Elle.
Hi, Elle. Where are you, Elle?
I am in America.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I've been following your channel for over a year now, and I've been in the process of manifesting my SP, and I've done all the self-love work. I'm at a spot where I feel that release, that whether it comes or not, I feel like very good about it. Yet this person is still on my mind. And in the process, I actually met someone else. But in the back of my mind, I always kind of had my SP and kind of had this like guilt always. And I think part of my question is with this is it wrong to entertain? I guess it is, like, if it's wrong to entertain other relationships when you know you kind of should be in another one. And I kind of felt that guilt constantly, even though I did feel a connection with this other person.
Yeah.
Because I noticed that the signs of this other person, like immediately once I was involved with the person that wasn't my SP, started to go away all the time. And for the longest time, I was kind of like battling which is the right course for that. So just as a general question, because this was something I meant to ask you for a long time, is it like wrong when these other people like come in, even if you feel like it's not for the long haul, to like get involved, even though you're focusing on someone else?
Okay, I need to ask you a few questions to answer that question.
Yes, for sure. I know it's long.
Okay, with person number one, were you together and you separated? Or you've never been with them?
We separated. So we were together for a little over a year.
Yeah.
And from the minute that breakup happened, that's when I started to get like involved with your channel. And at first, of course, the typical story, it started with like, how do I get my ex back? But then through that, I realized it was the self-love and all the doubts and stuff. And as I was going through the self-love, I ended up meeting this other person that I was mutual friends with. And it was kind of something that, like, I'm not the type of person that ever usually has flings with people, but I was like, oh, like, you know, what the heck? And this guy was very much a person that was involved with girls, like all the time.
Can I stop you? I want to ask you a few more things. When did you finish with SP number one?
I finished with SP number one last year's June.
Okay, so about a year and a bit ago.
Yes, it's been a while.
When did you meet SP, or not SP, person number two?
I met them probably July, a month later.
Okay. Now, why I asked that?
Mm-hmm.
If you do not have breaks in between, you do not have time to process your own stuff.
Exactly.
Okay, that's the first thing. Secondly, are you, let me word this in the right way. Are you spending time with person number two to feel better?
I think at the time I was, for sure.
Okay, what about now?
I have not. I've cut off communication because I felt like it was the wrong thing to do.
Okay, now, why I say this, do not use other people to feel better. It is not a good thing to do.
Yeah.
So I don't say it's wrong. There's no right or wrong, but it's just you wouldn't want someone doing that to you.
Yeah.
So you don't do it to other people, because really it's you're avoiding the stuff that comes up from relationship number one, and you don't get time to process it. So if person number one comes back, you're still not ready.
Exactly. And that's like why I cut it off, because I felt so guilty. And this was like a question for the longest time that I was like kind of meaning to ask you, because part of me was like, I don't know, like maybe is this like a sign that I'm supposed to go with like number two? But that guilt was like still there in my gut, and I felt like it wasn't wrong. But then I just like, I felt like half the time, every single time I was like asking for a sign, this person number two constantly was like calling me or texting me, and I was like, oh, I don't know. But now it's weird, because now SP number one, like everything, now that number two's out, SP number two has come in, but now that the dust has settled and like I've been able to with my own thoughts and like really process everything on an outside point of view. So I don't know, for the longest time I've wanted your input on that, just to confirmation on that.
Look, in my opinion, and no one ever wants to hear this, I think you should have a year off on your own. Why? because it gives you time to deal with yourself and really put your self-love routine in place so that when you do get into a relationship again, because everybody goes through this honeymoon phase when they get back together with people or they start a new relationship. But the honeymoon phase is a honeymoon phase. It only lasts for a certain period of time, and then the wrinkles and the cracks appear in the relationship. And if you can clear a lot of that before you get into the relationship, you have a much better time, and the honeymoon phase lasts a heck of a lot longer. Mm-hmm. So you're doing yourself a favor, but you're also doing the new person a favor.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you so
much. Now it's, and there's, you know, that's just my opinion. It doesn't mean it's right. I just, from watching people and also from me having done it too quick, I look back and I go, I could have done that for a bit longer, because I really could have spent more time on my own and I would have been better off.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. A very, very good. I'm glad you brought that up, Elle, because it is, you know, something that people do a lot and then they end up either hurting somebody else or they end up suffering themselves. So if you can be a rabbit, be a turtle rather than a rabbit, mm-hmm. we know who wins that race.
Yeah. Right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Good question. Ankita, I just want to say, put your link up as well to the stuff. You and I, Ankita and I have done an interview. I haven't uploaded it yet. She's got some interest. Yeah, I just saw you and thought, when I said Marvin and Scottish Joe, I forgot to mention you. So please put your bits and pieces up in the chat so people can go and shoot off in your direction as well. Okay, so let me have a look. Boo Boo 30.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can.
Wonderful.
Where are you?
I am from Germany.
Hello to you in Germany.
Hello. So yeah, I have a very specific question to you. So I would say I'm an advanced manifestor. I'm doing it now for a long period of time, and I manifested many crazy things, and everything's perfect with that. But when it comes to my SP, there is something a little off. And I also had a one-on-one coaching with another coach.
Yeah.
And I would like to hear your opinion about it.
Sure.
So I was in a relationship for 3 years with him, and he broke up because I was very anxious and controlling and all this stuff. You know, he did some bad things, which I manifested, and afterwards I did many bad things back. And then he broke up. Afterwards, I started manifesting him back. And
I'm listening, darling. I'm just got to get my charger for my laptop, but I am listening.
Okay, no problem.
Yep.
So I am a big Neville fan, so I started visualizing, and I also must say I manifested him the first time with visualizing. And I started again. I visualized, I did my affirmations and so on. And then weird things started happening. For example, a guy found me who looks exactly like him, like he could be literally his twin brother.
Yeah.
And for example, I manifested a proposal from my SP in a vineyard. Do you say it like that in English? Vineyard?
You mean a vineyard in, I'm not sure what you're referring to.
A vineyard, I believe that is.
A vineyard, as in?
Yeah.
Oh, vineyard, where you get the wine. Yeah, vineyard. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Exactly. And I always wanted a proposal there. And then I found out this guy who looks exactly like my SP, his parents have a vineyard. And, or for example, when I visualized a scene with a baby and with my SP, I went outside on the same day, like literally 30 minutes afterwards, and I found a book outside about breastfeeding, stuff like that. So I knew, okay, I have my very crazy signs and the seed is planted. But still, he didn't reach out, and I was like, what is missing? And then I talked to that coach, and she said, you obviously have no problems manifesting other guys, and she thinks that here is like, well, how do you say that? Wait a minute. So, yeah, she said that self-acceptance is missing. So if I would accept myself fully, then he would accept me also fully with what happened in the past. And she said I should affirm more I am affirmations instead of he is affirmations, and focus more on self-love and self-acceptance. So I started doing that. I focused much more on myself, and I visualized the scenes a little differently. And I used those I am affirmations, like I am accepted, I accept myself fully, I love myself fully, and so on. And 2 days after that, I went outside again. And I must say, German men are very, very shy. They would never ever ask you like out when you are meeting them outside, you know, only when you meet them in a bar or so and they have drunk something.
Yeah.
And then this guy, 2 days after I started with those I am self-acceptance affirmations, this random foreign guy was asking me, like, he was like, hey, I have to tell you something. I'm normally not like that, but you look so beautiful and I wanted to ask you out and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, these affirmations are working so fast.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And the thing is, this is really working. Like, these guys are coming, they have so many things with him in common. Guys look like him. And what is missing? Like, something, I have to think something is missing. Why isn't he still reaching out?
Have you got the belief why, or not the belief, the thoughts? Why isn't he reaching out? Why isn't he reaching out? Why isn't he reaching out? Why?
No, no, because
No?
I'm really strong with my mental diet. Every time when I'm very aware of my thoughts, and when I see that a slightly negative thought could come up, I stop myself immediately and I start affirming and changing my thoughts. This is like,
What are you, okay, let me ask you, what are you affirming when you change the thought? What are you going into?
I am like most of the times right now, I start with the I am affirmations because I focus on self-love.
Yep.
And then when I feel this high feeling, I switch into the he affirmations. But I have this feeling, you know, because of our past, like I behaved really badly at times, that there is a belief like, I don't know if you can forget all of that, what happened, you know, maybe this one, but I'm not sure. It's weird.
I do like what the other coach said to you. If you have self-acceptance, then acceptance from another will come on the outside. I think that was a really good bit of information from whoever told you that. I think that was good information. I love and approve of myself because we all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. We all screw up. We've all done things. Look, boy, oh boy, you can't cast a stone because you just got to look at your own history and then it kind of humbles you. So I do think going along the route of self-acceptance and practicing an affirmation, so that's just an example. I love and approve of myself. If you get to the place where you make peace with that, then it will be reflected to you on the outside. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, I have this feeling right now, like that I really, truly, authentically love myself and accept myself. And I see other people around me reflecting this to me. For example, my parents, they changed so much towards me. My father is a completely different person to me right now. Or
lovely
friends are asking me out all the time, and like they write me messages and just ask me, hey, I just wanted to ask you how your day was. Like, they're really caring, and like everyone changed.
Brilliant.
But it's, when it comes to this specific person, it feels a little, it's like something is missing, but I really don't know what.
I wouldn't try and look at what's missing. I think I would just work on the love and acceptance, the self-love and acceptance. Scottish Joe, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, it's just something that's coming through me, I feel strongly to say with regard to this, because you speak a lot about things that happened in the past. Can I suggest perhaps revising that because
I've done that also.
that may heal the part of you inside that created it in the past, and it may help you to feel better about the situation to then build a stronger platform going forward, which might create a better belief inside of what you're trying to manifest, and it may ultimately create a better thought of living in the end, as opposed to thinking, you know, why haven't they contacted me? Why haven't they contacted me? The thought, if you've revised the past, and you revise and you just repeat that scene over and over and over, almost like a rubbing out that the thing actually happened, it may help you accept. That may help with your own personal self-acceptance, because it sounds like, to me, because you need to do the self-acceptance and the self-love, you haven't accepted that thing that happens, and therefore you haven't accepted yourself for the thing that happened. So the best way to do that would be to revise and almost rub out that it happened itself, and then you can gain greater self-acceptance from that place, and that gives you a better platform to then imagine the person and the relationship you want to manifest. So I think revision would be a massive thing to focus on here, as well as self-love and self-acceptance.
Yeah, so I tried the revision technique. The thing is, how do you do that? I mean, when you have one bad situation with someone, you can revise this specific situation easily. But when you had a 3-year long relationship, and you had a relationship where you had many different arguments and, you know, bad situations, how do you do that? Like, I don't even remember the situations all fully.
Forgiveness. Very short scene, very, very short scene, couple of seconds where you perhaps tell them, I forgive you, and you hear them saying, I forgive you back. Just complete forgiveness. Total forgiveness for the situation that happened. And it gives you a stronger place to move forward from, because it sounds like you don't forgive the person first and they ultimately don't forgive you, and then that creates a thought of, how do I change the thing that happened? Self-forgiveness and forgiveness of the person and the situation.
Can I just add to back up what Joe's saying? There is a meditation on, I can't remember which channel. If you just put my name and put meditation to forgive the self and forgive another, that meditation, you can cover both within the one meditation. And I want to add one more thing. Revision is not a one-time event. Yeah. You may have to revise something 10 times for it to go away, for you to stop having the raw, live pink wire, the nerve from the past to the present, and it's infecting the present. You may need to revise something half a dozen times, a dozen times. You basically do it until you no longer feel negative emotion about it. It is not a one-time event.
Yeah.
It can be, but not always.
So you mean I should just do one revision scene and then do it like maybe for a few weeks, like every day, until it feels like it's gone?
Yep. And you don't need to revise a whole 3 years worth of stuff that you don't remember. Pick out the top 3 most horrible ones, because you'll remember the worst ones. They will be there. They will be here.
Sorry. I just wanted to ask, can I, for example, imagine a scene where, because right now I'm imagining him like telling me some nice things, you know, around like a conversation, and maybe I can build in this conversation a part where he says,
hang on darling, hang on, I got to mute somebody that's, can everybody mute themselves, please? I can't find who it is. Hang on, darling, hang on, I really want to be able to hear you clearly. Can everybody mute themselves, please? Thank you. Okay, going back to it.
Okay, so what I wanted to ask is, can I build this forgiveness scene into my other visualization scene? So, you know, we have a conversation in that scene, and he just tells me that he's forgiving me and I am forgiving him, like, you know, so I have one scene to imagine.
I wouldn't build in he does anything for me, okay? I would do the forgiveness from you, within forgiving yourself, forgiving another. It's got to come from you, not getting the other person to change for you. That's not what we're doing. Yes, we can influence people, but you gotta basically scrub your own bathtub.
Okay.
Okay, so do it I find for it to be more effective, you work on you no longer having a reaction to it, not he has to change for you to feel better. Type of revision. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so how can I visualize a scene where I forgive myself? I don't know. It's a little hard for me right now to imagine.
Try that meditation. It will take you through the self-forgiveness, and it will take you through. You might even have an emotional release, because when you have been giving yourself a hard time and not forgiving yourself, and then someone else hasn't been forgiving you, you will have some negative emotion about it. So the idea is do that meditation, you know, I don't know, maybe twice a week, 3 times a week, and see if you can crack the emotional nut, so to speak, and have the release of the stuff. And you say, I'm going to send it into the light for it to be purified and dissolved and bring me back to neutral.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Good stuff. Good questions about revision. Now, I'm actually going to stay on an extra half an hour tonight. We'll make it a 2-hour because there's so many good questions and lots of people on here today. So for those of you that do not want to stay, you know, obviously you don't have to, but I am going to do an extra half an hour and answer a few more questions. So, let's go to...
Hello, Agnes.
Hi, darling. I know people are putting stuff in the chat for me to answer. I'm not answering in the chat because I'm actually going through the list of people that are putting their hands up.
Agnes.
Yes, darling.
When you have the time later, I maybe can share about my revision success, because she totally forgot what she said and did.
Yeah, no problem. Maybe not in this Q&A, darling, because I've got about 15 people that still have their hands up, and I'm trying to work my way through in order. But if you want to email it to me, by all means.
Right,
Nancy.
okay, I'll email you my success story.
Yeah, please do. Please do. I didn't realize it was you, Dee.
Yeah, Dennis.
Yes,
yeah.
I know now.
Yeah, we are talking now, and she wants to divorce him.
Good stuff. Send me the full success story, and then I can read out because that's an amazing story, because you've been through the ringer with that. So yeah, please send it.
I'm probably like one of your early birds. Probably the person with the most issues.
No, you're not the most issues, but you're definitely one of the people that's worked the hardest. I can tell you that.
Right. Okay. I'll not disturb you. I'll just listen.
No problem. Send me the story, and then I will definitely read it, and then we can have a bit of something about it. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Nancy.
Hello. Can you hear me?
I can.
Hello, Agnes. I'm from India.
Hello, Nancy.
Actually, I have a question regarding a specific person that he was my classmate. So
yeah.
When we met, I just had like a very, you can say I was very attracted to him even when I first met him.
Yes.
Right. So we started talking over text, and when we actually met, we actually became very nice friends after a few times. But he wasn't interested into relationships at that time, so I didn't know what to do. So he asked me for a relationship with FWB. He didn't ask me for a straight relationship. He was just into FWB. So he was like, I'm only available for this kind of thing. So what to do? So he asked me for that, and we actually started. I actually said yes to that. But due to some issues,
Nancy, I'm not clear what you said yes to. I'm not clear what you're referring to. Can you be more specific?
I actually said yes to the FWB thing, but we actually didn't do anything. We just started like, we were really good friends back then. So we were just like, okay, we'll take it slow. But due to some issues, we broke up. Like, we didn't even talk, and we just avoided each other for like 2 months before the quarantine and the coronavirus thing. So after that, we started talking over text, but still there's something that is missing between us. I don't know how to cover it up, but it actually damaged my own self a lot. And I actually lost my other friends too because of him, because we were just in the same group. And it affected my friendships with other people too. So I don't know how to get back on the track and get my friendship back with other people too, and get my friendship back with him. But sometimes because I cannot avoid him due to we are from the same class, so I have to see him, I have to talk to him daily.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like avoiding him because he's just like too much toxicity sometimes for me. Because it takes me back to the same
Nancy,
time.
can I stop you for a second?
Sure.
Do you understand everyone is you pushed out?
Yes.
Okay. If you understand that, you will start working on your self-love. You will disengage from the outside world. You will make your self-love the priority, and then the outside situations will change.
Yes, that is why I tried to change my inner reality by increasing my vibrations, but I cannot do it for a really long time. Like in a week, I'm happy for like 3 to 4 days, but after during weekend, I'll be like so much low that I couldn't even feel like replying to a single text. It's like too much draining sometimes, and it's like everything is normal for like 3 to 4 days.
Nancy, what's too draining? Exactly.
Talking to people sometimes, and he's always in the back of my mind.
Okay, you
like
have
I couldn't get rid of him
Nancy,
from it.
stop for a sec. Stop for a sec. Everyone is you pushed out, which means everything you're getting on the outside is a reflection of what you are thinking, feeling, and believing about yourself and about them. So for the outside to change, you have to mentally calm down, work on your self-love quietly, and keep at it. It is how you change the outside situations with relationships with other people. The outside situations and what you've got in relationships with people right now is a reflection of your own inner turmoil.
Agreed.
You have to work on you. There's no other way, unless, you go around and around in this suffering wheel. You go around and around because the issues are in you. The relationship is just a big screen. The relationships with different people, they're just big screens of the stuff you've got going on being projected out onto these people, and they're reflecting it back to you. So to change them, or to change, you're not really changing them, you're changing yourself, and then you get a different photocopy.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
That's all for my question.
Okay. All good. All good, all good, all good. Okay, Sarah. Where are you, Sarah?
Is it me, Sarah?
Yeah, sure.
Hi, Agnes. I've been
hello,
thinking about
Sarah.
you. Yeah, I've been thinking about you. So it's funny that you did this. I didn't know you did this kind of thing. I actually will pass because I don't have a question. I just had like a real-time, really big manifestation. I wanted to share that story, but I'll email you about that. So I'll let someone else ask a question.
Great. Look forward to hearing that one too, Sarah. Sarah has kindly already done an interview and sent in a success story for those of you that remember her story. So thank you, Sarah. I would love to hear it.
Okay,
beautiful.
Bye.
Thank you. Josh, I just want to say hi to you. I see your little face there.
Please take my question.
Hi, darling. Yeah, Josh?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't know there's any other Josh in the group.
No problem. Were you wanting to ask the question?
No, just observing, mate.
No problem. I saw your face and I thought I didn't, because a lot of people don't have their videos on, but I realized it was you about halfway through. So hello.
All right then, mate. Cheers.
All right, let's go with Kara. Hello, Kara. Where are you, Kara? I can't see you to unmute you. I'm going to keep looking. Kara. You might have to unmute. I'm trying to ask to unmute you, but it won't let me, Kara, so you might have to try and do it at your end. What's going on with the muting? Hang on. Cara, I'll come back to you. It's not working. Okay, let's go to iPhone SE. You are next.
Hey.
Hey.
How are you?
Good, thank you. Where are you in the world?
I'm in South Africa, Johannesburg.
Ah, lovely. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question for you. So I just recently stumbled upon your work, and I had a specific guy that I really, really, really liked. We didn't speak.
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't date. Sorry, we didn't date. But it was about to get there, and we shared a few kisses.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know, because I'm still a newbie, I wanted to know if it would be possible to manifest him back after like so many back and forths, like because he's come back into my life. Just saying hi, we should hang out and all of that. And then for some reason I would just get in the way. You know, like the last time he invited me to go out and just spend time with him. And I got there late, well, 30 minutes late, and I let him know prior. And he was just really upset. So this is one of many events, right? So there's been a lot of back and forth where he comes back into my life, and then I kind of like, I've pushed him away. I know I've been self-sabotaging, but do you think it's possible for me to get him back?
It's always possible. I mean, have a look at Amber's story. She manifested her.
I didn't see from the first. Sorry, I didn't hear everyone's story. I just got in here.
No. I mean, no. Amber's story is actually on it's an interview. Just put in my
on your
name.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, just put in. She manifested her person 3 times and still had to keep going back and forth to learn the lesson. So, have a listen to her story. Yes, you can manifest someone back, but you must not be trying to suck love out of somebody, because that always backfires. You must be learning to give love to a relationship rather than trying to get love from a relationship.
Man, I feel very drained. Jeez, I feel very drained.
Okay, let me ask you, what are you drained from? What is it?
Myself, really, because I could see I got in my own way, and
by what you think, by what you're doing, by what you're saying, what is draining you exactly?
I think it's most of that, to
all
be
three,
honest, because
all 3 of those things.
Most of them, because of what he even blocked me. Oh my God, like it really got intense. I wasn't expecting that, but
okay, let me ask you, what did you do for him to block you? What do you think it was?
I kept him waiting. Like I was late for the meeting.
Yeah. Okay. Well, are you late? Is this something that you do quite regularly?
No. Prior to that, he has made plans to come meet. It wasn't the fact that I'm always late. It's like every time he wants to meet up, I see him for a few minutes, or I end up self-sabotaging that, like all the time. I say I'm gonna come and then I don't come. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Okay,
I just feel
let me ask
unworthy of
you
him.
what. Okay, say that again.
Like I don't deserve it.
Okay.
But I want.
Okay, I feel like I don't deserve it. Okay, so if you've got the belief I don't deserve, yeah, you will be sabotaging. So come back up to the mind. This is where the problems are, but that's all right, because that's where the solutions are too. I am deserving, I am worthy. I am deserving, I am worthy. And work on it. You got to change your repetitive, habitual, negative thoughts.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. I even downloaded Dr. Joe Dispenza's belief and perception. So I'm gonna have to work on that.
Yeah. And also have a look on my channel, put in beliefs playlist. There's a whole bunch of stuff about beliefs there. So you can look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I need to work with my beliefs, and
You got to work with your thoughts. Your thoughts are thoughts. It's the language of the mind. Now, to change thoughts, you got to deliberately think something else. Now, thoughts you think a lot about, thoughts you think repetitively become beliefs. That's all. Yeah?
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Mercy, I'm going to call on you now. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Where are you, my
So,
lovely? Okay.
I'm here.
Do you want to, because the reason I'm calling on you is because you had a excellent explanation about beliefs and changing them. So can you just share a little bit about that after this question from this particular person? What the mechanics of that a little more, because that was really well said in your interview.
So for me, when it comes to manifesting anything, for me, I let me turn off this thing. I don't know if you guys can hear it. By the way, just want to say I don't know anything, so I'm not answering questions because I don't. Well, first of all, I'm listening to you guys. I'm listening to you, but I see people like commenting saying, "Hey, mercy," but I don't know how to use it, so I'll learn it for next time. Just wanted to say that before. So anyways, for me, when it comes to manifesting anything, there are certain things that you have to look at. So there is your thoughts, your beliefs, and all of that sort of thing. So your thoughts are easy to change because they're not as powerful as your beliefs. But your beliefs, as you said, Agnes, are things that you think about most of the time and you have found proof for. So to change your beliefs, you have two ways. One is affirmation, and the other one is by proving them wrong. So before I write down my affirmations, I try to know what the problem is, because most of the time we know what we have a problem. We know we're down. We know we're sad. We know the emotion, but we don't know what it is. So I try to find out what it is that is making me feel down, that is making me feel, sad. Once I know what it is, I write it. Like I try to write down everything. I try to find out and write down everything. And once I know what it is, I write down the opposite. But before I write down the opposite as an information or as a feeling, what I basically do is I try to prove it I try to prove it wrong, because my brain knows it is something, like my brain believes it's something to be true. Like, for example, Agnes, maybe you're not scared of cars, but for example, my brain would be scared of cars. So your brain would not process the same thing as my brain does. So I try to prove it wrong. I try to find stories. Like, for example, if I read somewhere engineers after 27 years old are not successful, then I prove it wrong. I find people who are successful after being like 40, after being 50, So I show my brain, it's just a silly thing. It's just something that it has made up to protect me. So this is like the actual way I try to tackle every problem that happens in my life. And another thing that I've heard a lot of people say here, so I'm just going to mention, is the fact that they usually watch videos, they listen to you, and they try to fix things out of motivation, but trying to fix things out of motivation because just because you watched a YouTube video or just because you woke up one morning and you're, oh my God, super excited and you can move the house, is not going to be healthy, and it's going to be draining, because once you hear a technique, you're going to think, oh my God, now I'm super motivated, I'm going to use this technique, and then I'm going to have a result. But what my advice is to everybody here listening, instead of being yes, motivation is good. Yes, looking at success stories in Agnes' channels, that helped me a lot. So getting motivation out of external things is good. But I think what's better is to be disciplined within yourself. The discipline that you have when it comes to the relationship that you have with yourself, with your spirit, and with your negative thoughts, negative letting go, that is what is important. One last thing that I want to mention, please, everybody, don't use the word but and if in your sentences, because if makes everything in the future, and but cancels out everything that you said before. So you're like, I'm very successful when it comes to my manifestation, I'm getting a lot of results, but it's like, you know, you canceled everything that you said before that. And every question that you're asking to Agnes right now, look at it, because there was a girl who was asking a question. I like, as an external person, I can see it was a negative belief, because I'm looking at it, not judging her obviously, but since I'm external, I'm listening to the conversation, I can see it's a negative belief. But she continued canceling that negative belief, saying every time, like, I'm doing okay, blah, blah, blah. And then she says, but, you know, it's not this. So yeah, these are the things that I think I wanted to say. Oh, one little last time.
Yeah.
I really want everybody to consider also the concept of time. Yes, in our reality, time exists in our reality, but in manifesting reality, time does not exist. But like, when it comes to your belief, time does actually exist. So you have to be patient. Patience is really, really important when it comes to manifestation, because, like, for example, if I want to manifest Oprah Winfrey or somebody, like meeting Agnes for an occasion of that sort of thing, obviously there has to be time for the universe to organize that situation for us to meet. Well, my cousin who lives next door, the universe will not probably have a lot of problem organizing that situation. So yes, time is not something that we should consider and focus on, but time does actually exist. So yeah, these are the things that I think I want to say.
Lovely. Thank you, Mercy. Just lovely explanation. I also want to ask, Grandma's Kitchen, are you in here? Just unmute yourself if it's you. I'm just looking at the names in the chat, and I think it's you. Okay, maybe not, maybe not. Now, Martina, I'm going to call you up for a few words before we close the Q&A, since you couldn't unmute yourself before. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
There you are. Now, yeah, say whatever you want to say, because I know you've been listening to the questions.
I just want everyone to know that all things are possible, but if you want someone to be a part of your life, you have to realize that they have rights to be in your life or to not be in your life. If you want a restraining order, you can try to stalk them and stuff like that. So I know there's counselors that say, oh, you can get this person regardless. Unless you want a restraining order, then you should do that. But if you want, if you want success, listen to Agnes. She knows what she's talking about. I did not force my boyfriend to be with me. I did not force him to have a child with me. We both came together as one. We both made these plans. And I just want everyone to know that I'm happy. Like, once you get the person, well, I don't want to say get, but once you two come together as one, it's still more work. I just had a baby. I'm dealing with emotions. So he's supporting me now more than I'm supporting him. So I know my energy is kind of off. So you have to like work together. Like the work goes like from us trying to attract them back into our life. Once we get together, you still have to work on your self-love. You still have to work on, just being there for yourself and being there for that person. And it's not about getting, like Agnes always says. It's about giving. Now it's 50-50. We want the person, we want to think that, oh, love is out there with the other side, but it's with us. If I was needy the way I was, like he had told me, he wouldn't be with me. We probably wouldn't even been friends, because we were friends first for years. And then we got together and stuff. So I just want people to know that, I know it's like, oh, I want this person to be in my life. I want this to happen. I want that to happen. It takes a long time. When me and him got connected again 2 years ago, we only saw each other once a month. We text, We barely talked on the phone because he's not a phone person, but we went out on dates like once a month. And then once we got reacquainted with each other and we knew what we wanted, that's when we started taking the bigger steps. That's when we started seeing each other more. And then the next year was when we took a trip, because I think they say when couples first get together, you have to take the big weekend trip to see if, you know, that could solidify your relationship, like, oh, you're together. Because normally when couples, they go on their first trip, they fight and then they're not together. So it's baby steps. And like Agnes says, the turtle always wins the race. If I rushed it with him, Mackenzie wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be with him. You know, we're a family now. So, and it scares me. It's scary. I don't want everyone to think that, oh, it's all butterflies and rainbows every day. Sometimes I get sick of seeing him and he has to go somewhere, because you know how it is. Like, I'm not sick of seeing him, but you know, you like to miss the person. So it's still even harder work. Now that we have a baby, we're on another level. So it went from me trying to, you know, us get connected. Then it went to us being together, which is on another level, more work. And then now I have a baby. So, you know, every day you have to keep telling yourself you're first best, you're loved, you are loved. Don't look for your person to fulfill that, because I can't look for him to fulfill that. I'm always asking him, is he okay? He's asking if I'm okay. And when I say no, he tells me to go work on myself. So, you know, he's very supportive, and you want to make sure you have the right person. If I didn't have the right person, I wouldn't have all this, you know. So I know some people might like somebody and then it doesn't work out and they don't understand why. It's because, like what Dan talks about, I think higher self, sometimes your higher self doesn't connect, and that's okay. So that just shows you that, you know, it's somebody else out there for you that's going to cater to your feelings. Because I know I'm very sensitive, and I told him that, so he supports me and I support him. So you have to have somebody that's going to support you, that tolerates you. I can't stand when he crunches. You know, you're going to have stuff like that, you know, just little things. So it's ups and downs. As long as you're up some more than you're down. So I just want everyone to you have to focus on yourself. Do not focus on the other person. And another thing, if the person you like has somebody else, don't interfere with that, because at the end of the day, you won't get the person, because that person will not want to date you because you caused that breakup. So just work on yourself. And then if you do like somebody that, you know, that has somebody, you have to ask yourself, oh, why do I like somebody that's taken? Is it something about me? And do I think that I can't have somebody for myself or my second best? All of that. So I just want everyone to stay encouraged. Keep fighting for yourself. Don't fight for anybody else. You have to strengthen yourself. I know it's frustrating, but you have to keep looking forward. Just put yourself first, and then everything will fall in line. It's hard, but sometimes I get knocked off, you know, because I'm like, right now, I'm just a ball of hormones because I just gave birth. So, you know, just focus on yourself. Just focus on what you can do to make you happy and not anybody else. So that's all.
Beautiful. Lovely, lovely. Wow. Just some great answers from all of you that, I love hearing those of you that are moving forward and are a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years down the track. It's so wonderful to watch you, really is. And it's such a joy to have you in here and paying it forward to those people that really need help still. So thank you, everybody, for those of you that assisted with the questions. And I will obviously be uploading this to YouTube, and I'm going to see if I can actually leave the chat as part of it. I don't know if I can, so that people can see the questions. I did not answer any of the questions in the chat. People don't think I'm ignoring you, but it's enough for me to focus on what's going on the screen, and I like to focus properly as best I can. So thank you for joining in. There is the next private Q&A, which is one of the 3 that we do 3 times a month. It is next Sunday, 6 p.m. London time. So I will see those of you that are joining in there. Lots of love. And I will see you as always in the next YouTube. I am going to stop the recording now and see you in the next one.